Good evening. My name is Clinton Dishman, and I am continuing my blogs regarding OCD. And today I'd like to talk to you about the positive attributes surrounding OCD. Now, I know it's hard to imagine that with a mental disability that there's a positive aspect of it, but that is something that I like to bring to light. I've touched on some of the aspects when discussing the difficulties of having OCD. But the primary focus of today's discussion is to educate people that there are some very positive attributes displayed by individuals who have OCD. One of the most beneficial aspects of OCD is the analytical and detail-oriented aspect of our minds. We have this built-in mechanism that just makes us analyze and question and look for the most logical and rational way to handle anything, whether it be in the workplace or in our personal day-to-day lives. One of the things that I've learned with my OCD is that I have a passion and a gift when it comes to continuous improvement, analyzing data, and finding gaps in processes. As I stated, I have a bachelor's degree in finance, and I've also been educated in the lean processes and continuous improvement processes. And I've done quite well because of the way that my mind operates. I tend to take every variable into consideration, and when I spend the appropriate amount of time on a project, the results produced have captured any possible variable or glitch in the process, or it has set the foundation to build an even better process or procedure. With every sufferer it's different, and but there is a niche for everyone. Another really nice attribute of OCD is I want to call it an appreciation for things, but I'd say it's our desire for everything to be in good condition. I'm definitely an individual that anything I buy, own, or have, I will take great care of it because I obsess about it. I guess it's the best way of it. It's like an over appreciation for the things that you have. But in that, I tend to just value things more, regardless of the cost associated with it. I value it. I take care of it because I want to ensure that it's being utilized to its full potential. And I can't say this is the case with everyone, but again, this is more of a personal account of OCD. Another aspect or positive attribute is organization, and this goes through life and work. I'm a highly organized individual. I live my life on a very specific, almost protocol-based way of living. Some of this could be due to my military experience, and some of this is just because of the way my mind operates. But if you come into my house or my room or my vehicle, everything has a place, and I can tell if anything's been moved, rearranged, or is out of place. And it's great because, like in the work world, if I need to find something, I know exactly where it's at. I'm not ruffling through 1,000,001 papers or a bunch of documents. Everything I do is categorized, organized in a way that is effective and efficient. Another positive attribute I have found with OCD is our ability to evaluate people and make good solid calls on if qualities meet possibly a work expectation or just even a relationship expectation. Now, I've stated that social interaction is difficult, but with that, because of the struggles that we have with socializing, we've become great observers of people and are able to pick up quite easily any character flaws or issues in other people that can be detrimental to the workplace, to our family life, and so on. Myself, I've spent a lot of time in my life learning to not necessarily understand people, because I don't think that'll ever happen, but to be able to read them and to know, hey, this individual right here, they're all talk, because we observe body language, we observe gestures and movements and expressions, and are able to pick up on the subtleties that some people might overlook. It's not foolproof by any means, but we tend to be more perceptive to a person's just overall demeanor, and tend to make better calls on, I can be honest with you, within 30 seconds, typically I can tell if I'm going to like someone or not. It's a nice quality to have, because it has allowed me to remove negative influences out of my life. Whereas before, I didn't always choose the right people to hang with. From a parental perspective, I think OCD is beneficial because for those of us who have OCD and have children, we tend to be more attentive in a respect, in that we are protective, and sometimes overly so, but we have set values and standards that that have to be followed. For instance, with my children, respect and doing what you're told are a must, and there are consequences if they are not followed to what I believe to be satisfactory. Now again, there are times, many times when you have to step back and evaluate the situation, but that's one of the benefits of having OCD, is that you're analyzing every aspect of your child's action. You're looking at going, okay, was this done in a malice attempt? Was this done just out of a lack of knowledge of what the proper response or behavior should have been, and so forth. And with that, it allows us to really instill morals and standards that, in our children, that you don't see in a lot of children in general. And it can be difficult because there is that overly controlling aspect of it, but at the same time, we tend to expect more from our children, and if a disciplinary action is if we discipline our children, one of the things I've noticed with myself is that I try to walk my children through and have them explain to me what actions led up to the negative consequence. And also, that's another good thing about OCD, is that within the sufferer, we tend to, if a mistake is made, we definitely beat ourselves up, but we try to analyze the steps that led up to the mistake so that we don't make it again and we're aware of it. And this is something that kind of encompasses the whole aspect of OCD, and some of the beneficial factors of it is that in anything that is undertaken by us, we strive to ensure that the result is a positive one. Now, sometimes there is, and I should say maybe more often than sometimes, but sufferers can be overly analytical and overly obsessive in the what if department. Now, as you become more aware of your OCD and as you learn to accept it more, you also learn to be aware of those hang-ups. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to be that, that they're not going to occur. But as I keep stating, the more cognizant we are of certain things, the more that we try to ensure that they're alleviated, in a sense, or we find ways to offset those in a positive manner. Also, OCD, people with OCD tend to be, I don't want to say smarter than the average bear, I guess you'd say, but because of our detail orientation, we tend to thrive in the areas of education, the areas of knowledge, and logic and sound reason. Now, some people may disagree with that, and, I can't, again, it's hard when you're a black and white individual to go, well, no, I'm not wrong. But I have noticed that when I evaluate something and analyze something and take a step back, I guess you'd say, that I'm able to produce results that tend to be more positive than rather than just jumping the gun and going right into it. Now, granted, a lot of this comes with age, a lot of this comes with time and experience, but it's all, with someone with OCD, it's kind of already embedded in our mindset. So we're going to, as we learn to hone in on that skill, we tend to be more aware of the details that need to be looked at and not overlooked. And we tend to know how to navigate through some of the not necessarily clear and concise data that is being inputted, and being able to find the data that is needed. One of the things that I encourage, and the few discussions I've had with people who have questions about OCD, because it is rare for people to be as open as I am with their OCD. I encourage people to really not just educate yourself on it, but really try to hone in on where your strengths lie. You can't always look at it as, number one, you can't change it, so how do you live with it? You've got to find where your strengths lie. Well, me, it's details, and looking at everything and going, what's a better way to do this? What's a better way to approach this situation? What do I need to be aware of? What am I looking at? And so on and so forth. And that's only going to really present itself when you accept and you really dig down into how your mind operates. And it's not an easy transition, and it's not always, I can't sit here and tell you that every day I go, I'm so thankful I have OCD and all these positive aspects. But I will say that with OCD, it has equipped me to be more successful in areas that other people may, more so in the areas of details and analysis and logical thinking than maybe the average person, because of the way my mind is hardwired. You know, I did a research one time on jobs that were good for people with OCD, and it does in fact support my examples, in that a lot of the jobs that were recommended were like financial analysis, controller, accounting, fields that require like mechanical engineering, things of that nature. People with OCD can thrive, because one thing I will say is the more our mind's occupied with problem solving and finding better ways of doing things, the almost more at ease we are. And I know that sounds wrong. I used to make a joke that I thrived on stress. But I noticed that when given a task and a project, I find myself most content, because my mind is able to hone in and focus on something. Rather than being scattered all over the place, I'm able to dig down and buckle down and focus on that particular task and look at every variable in detail and find a good a better way of approaching it and implementing processes to have benefit. And again, this is this is mainly or not mainly personal aspect of it, but I will say that with any, you look at some of the geniuses in the world, and you look at some of the very successful individuals, and it's kind of funny to find out that maybe they suffer from, what people consider to be a mental disability. So it's a give and take. What maybe we lack in the socializing aspect, we make up for in the analytical aspect. Maybe, in the area where people tend to be more trusting, caring, and being taken advantage of, we're more critical and discerning in who we associate with and who we find value with. At the end of the day, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that although there are some negative attributes, and I've touched mainly on those, and also on people understanding it, I also want people to understand that there really is some benefit to having OCD. And one of the things that has helped me progress, not in the work world, but just in life in general, is recognizing where my strengths lie. And you have to find that positive aspect of anything, or you're just going to be miserable. And I truly believe that as a person who suffers from any mental disability is able to find where their strengths lie, the more at peace they are going to be with themselves. And for other people, when they are able to recognize those strengths in those people, it's going to be able to bridge that social awkwardness in a sense, because they're going to be able to focus in on, hey, this person's really strong in this area, there's this great quality, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, I really think that for myself and anybody who suffers, we really have to dig into finding out what's the positive. Because we're not going to be able to change, unfortunately you can't fix the way our minds are wired. But we can find a way to utilize what we have. And when we're able to do that, the results that are produced can be quite, phenomenal, really. I mean, it's the best way to put it. And it's also just to offer a sense of hope and peace, to let you know that although myself and other people may suffer from a disability, not every aspect of it's negative. And if we're able to hone in on the positive attributes, our lives tend to have more meaning, and we're not so caught up in the I guess you should say the handicap aspect of it. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this blog. I am going to be working on trying to I'm going to try and make these more structured. Again, I'm really hoping to start getting more questions. It's easier when there's some questions involved that I can actually hone in and focus on, and have a little clearer topics to discuss, rather than just trying to pick a topic at random per se. But at the end of the day, I just hope that whoever watches these and whoever is out there suffering with OCD or dealing with someone with OCD, that these maybe bring to light and answer some questions that are prevalent with the disorder and the lack of understanding with it. Again, you can leave questions on my blog, or you can, my Facebook is Clint Dishman, Dishman. I welcome any and all questions, and I will do my best to always answer those for you. So again, I really am trying to encourage individuals to ask questions. That way it's just a clearer and more structured discussion than me trying to just pick a topic. But anyways, I thank you for your time. Hopefully this adds maybe a more positive outlook on OCD. And I will continue to post and just keep continuing to do my best to educate people on it, and as well as answer any and all questions that any of you may have. Thank you again. Bye.